Hey, what's up? It's Don McDangelo of AdFreeShows.com, SEScoops.com, and OneTrueSportTV.com. It's a Wednesday. You know what that means. I'm here with WD Creative _. That's Robert Karpolis. Robert, how are you, man?
Dude, I just realized I didn't read the run sheet. So I'm here. I just jumped off a meeting to be here with all of you. I'm excited to talk about AEW's Road to Dynasty, since that's what it says at the top of the screen here, and say hi to some of the folks who are joining us. Willie Thornbrew clearly was listening to my podcast the other day, because he said Jim Ross hired everyone from Gorgeous George to John Cena. But he was just he was just talent in 1993 when Ludwig Borgo was hired. Interesting. Yes. That was a fact that I pointed out, that Jim Ross likes to take sole credit for every single person that was ever signed during his tenure, but never did anything wrong. He was completely infallible, and any of those errors, issues, problem child people were all Vince.
Ludwig Borgo was quite the character for sure.
I've not had the chance to watch the Dark Side of the Ring since the fine folks at Xfinity decided to they accidentally disconnected my services, which is amazing. I had called them up and they were fixing something, and the next thing I know, they accidentally disconnected me, and then when they turned it back on, nothing worked. So a technician should be here at any moment. In the meantime, Michael Partham says, "Come on, Swerve, ninja kick the damn Moxley." Yeah, let's hope for that. And if we get Secret of the Ooze, maybe we could bring in Kevin Nash.
Ooh, yeah, Super Shredder indeed.
And Jeff Henniger throwing out a R.I.P. Val Kilmer. Dom, I'm gonna give you a recommendation, because I know there's no chance you've seen the movie. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Oh, that's my favorite Val Kilmer
Really,
movie, Robert. Yes,
I was not expecting you. There's like 4 movies you've seen, and one of them's Fern Gully. So I never know what it is.
Fern Gully.
I hate Fern Gully. It's terrible. Yeah, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is a tremendous film. It's also pretty much just Iron Man 3.
It's a good point.
Shane Black. It was
Shane Black.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang was the movie that kind of gave Marvel the confidence to say, hey, we should probably take a shot on this Robert Downey Jr. kid and let him play Iron Man. And then Shane Black, who wrote and directed Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, got a chance to do Iron Man 3.
Yeah. I love Val Kilmer. Him and Jim Morrison, obviously, in The Doors with Oliver Stone. You can't not say Tombstone. It's what a cool career. Heat. But man, yeah, it's a bummer he's gone. It's just a big part of the childhood.
Bummer, man. Your turn of phrase sometimes is it's like I'm working with Cronkite.
Thanks.
News out of Dallas. This is a bummer. John F. Kennedy. What a bummer. Dom, you know what's not going to be a bummer is whatever the hell we're talking about today. I'm guessing Dynamite preview.
Yeah, the go-home show for Dynasty. And we got a card on tap here, Robert.
Is Dynasty this weekend?
Yes, coming up. Mm-hmm.
Wow, I kept thinking there was still a week.
Yeah, no.
That is astonishing. This is a show that went from 1 match announced to like 75 matches announced. And we will do a full Dynasty preview on Friday. We're going to talk all about Joan Collins. Wait, no, different Dynasty. Sorry. Yeah,
that took me a second, but
this is why you've got me here, Dom. Are you you're not in the Barrel Cafe, or are you in Jacket Lady Cafe?
That's correct, I am.
Oh, we love Jacket Lady, and see, that would have been a great Blue Chew segue about Jacket, but not gonna happen. Is it a lunch place?
Yeah, it's like a cafe / it turns into a bar later at night and stuff like that. It's Margot. So shout out to Margot if you're.
To be fair, any place can turn into a bar if you try hard enough. And guys, any meal, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, can be made magical by our friends at Magic Spoon. That's right, guys. We're talking about Magic Spoon. It makes a high-protein, zero-sugar cereal and treats that are reinvented from your childhood. It's an opportunity to get those tastes that you love, but you don't have to worry about all the sugar. You don't have to worry about feeling bad. These are great. They're filling. They're healthy. They're delicious. Magic Spoon's high protein treats are crispy, crunchy, airy, an easy way to get 12 grams of protein on the go. They come in mouthwatering flavors like marshmallow, chocolate, peanut butter, and dark chocolate, and the brand new granola packs. 13 grams of protein and 0 added sugar. Delicious flavors like dark chocolate almond, honey almond, and peanut butter. Guys, you check out Magic Spoon. You're going to find something you like, whether it's the granola, whether it's the treats, whether it's the old school cereal. And breakfast for dinner is always a home run in this household. You can get $5 off your next order at magicspoon.com/rumor, or look for Magic Spoon on Amazon or in your nearest grocery store. That's magicspoon.com/rumor for $5 off. Tom, you're still on mute. This is why I love you. Wrestling asks, who remembers Willow? Everybody remembers Willow. If you want to watch the adventures of a very, very short man, we could talk about Adam Cole.
We could talk about him. He's going to be facing Danny Garcia at AEW Dynasty. We'll have to wait on that. Will there be magic, Robert, when it comes to the Owen Hart Cup tournament this year? They're announcing the brackets. People have said they would be in the tournament. Has the tournament lost its luster since it's launched with all the other tournaments going on that AEW tends to put on?
So they do way too many tournaments, but
yes.
There's a stipulation now attached to the winner of the Owen, correct? I think they get a title shot at, is it All In?
I think you're right. Yeah.
Whatever it is, I think this is kind of the problem. It's like you have the Continental Classic, which produced a hell of a lot of great matches. It was sort of the Shelton Benjamin. That is a giant glass of water. Oh my God. You're like drinking like a full-on vase.
You got to quench your thirst here, Robert. Stay hydrated.
There's quenching your thirst, and then there's your like 1/3 plant, like chlorophyll man.
I think this is actually to pour into a smaller glass.
Yes, I think you're drinking out of the pitcher.
I think I am.
See, guys, it's not just in the uploading of shows where Dom excels. It is in every facet of life. That is a pretty badass jacket. But the Owen tournament. Right now, we know that it's Jay White, we know that it's Will Ospreay, and we know that it is Hangman Adam Page. Those are 3 very strong names. So and Dre Owens confirms the winner does get a title shot at All In. We know that Hangman has motivation to want to go after the champion, which hopefully will be Swerve Strickland. We know that Will Ospreay, who has yet to be AEW World Champion, him winning at All In would be a big deal since it is a huge show. Jay White is also there. So any combination of those 3 guys wrestling each other at the Dynasty pay-per-view, it's very hard to imagine they're going to do this show without some presence of Will Ospreay. So whether it's Will Ospreay and Jay White or Will Ospreay and Hangman, either one of those matches are really strong for what's already an overly stacked pay-per-view. The hope is that they can remind people that the Owen tournament matters, that it is the signature tournament of the year, not to be mistaken for the international tournament we just saw or the Continental Classic tournament that we had or any other tournament that I'm forgetting that Tony Khan has thrown out throughout the year. But we'll go.
Yeah, no, I think it hasn't lost its luster. I think the fact that they had these stars announce that they were going to be in the cup and what it means to them, I think was a good move. And I think the way you position it, like what Dre Owens revealed too, winner gets the title shot at All In. It makes it feel like a good thing. There's a certain aesthetic that comes with it all too that honors Owen and everything. So I like it. So it is an
honors Owen and everything. Boy, you just the reverence. The pageantry. Wrestling Old Head makes a good point here, which is TK needs to pivot from his original plans of allegedly putting the title on Darby Allin, as hard as it may be for him to do so. The key is to love someone who's going to love you back. And Darby Allin has other passions and things that he genuinely loves. Climbing mountains, jumping off of cars that are moving, skateboarding. He is a man of many talents, none of which require any actual skill. So you can't really put the company behind someone who's not going to prioritize this. It's kind of like Sid in softball but infinitely more dangerous. And I don't think Darby Allin is the answer. I think there's a number of answers right in front of him, starting with Swerve and Hangman and Ospreay, and potentially Kenny Omega, who, you know, if he's healthy and can go, as long as he does not cut another promo. I wasn't here last week to talk about it. I did talk about it on the Patreon. That may have been one of the worst things I had ever seen.
So I had a different perspective. I thought he did a pretty decent at showing who Kenny was, good or bad. But I thought it was
it's because you have a cat.
I liked it. That is true.
That's all that this is cat
that
lovers
a little bit.
Uniting. No, the way Kenny delivers lines, it's like watching The Room. Oh, hi, Mark. I'm going to be AEW champion. That's 90% of his promos, and it doesn't help that he towers over Speedball Mike Bailey.
What did you think of Speedball on the other side of it?
His promo was wallpaper paste. He has the charisma and stage presence of a tiny Tatanka. He's a great wrestler, not a guy you need talking, and not a guy that you need standing there looking incredibly small next to Kenny Omega, who's not exactly the tallest drink of water, coming from Dom, who is drinking the tallest glass of water. Stop holding it up. It's like that is not our sponsor. We promote our friends at Magic Spoon. We don't promote giant ass glasses of water. But speaking of a tall drink of water, Claudio Castagnoli is going to be taking on Adam Copeland.
Yeah, I like these two guys, but it's also like this just seems like never-ending Death Rider stuff. And
there's a large paragraph associated with. I didn't bother to read it, but is there a stip? What's the deal here with this match?
I will read it.
Oh, no.
Get ready. With Rated R, FTR's Trios Championship opportunity at Dynasty looming, Copeland faces a vengeful Claudio, who has promised to beat the Rated R superstar to a pulp. So no, there's no stipulation here.
This is to promote the 6-man tag, where I'm sure FTR is not at all going to turn on Cope.
Yeah. I don't think so, Robert. Right? They're good guys.
They're all good. Look, Claudio's a hell of a worker. Cope's a hell of a worker. This is why you bring in a guy like Cope to have great matches with guys like Claudio Castagnoli. This feels like the proper place for him. You kind of see on the other channel with Orton, when Randy gets an opportunity to work with a guy, he's going to elevate him. They're not necessarily pushing Orton as the A1 babyface in the company. We will get a Randy Orton title match at some point in time. It makes sense. They've already teased it with the Cody interaction on SmackDown. I think the chance of getting a Randy Orton-John Cena match one last time where Cena's the heel and Orton is the face is a hell of a lot of fun.
That is fun. I'm all for that, actually. And I've seen countless Randy Orton and John Cena matches. So
we all have, Dom. Something we have not seen is a mixed tag match on AEW Dynamite. Not a lot of those, but there will be one tonight.
There will be. We got Swerve and Willow teaming up to take on Mox and Marina Shafir.
Hey, someone was just talking about Willow in the chat.
Right.
Yes.
That's actually who I thought what he was talking about initially, not the movie.
That is it's pure wrestling thing. That's why this is why we love you, Dom. Like you're the guy who's like Donald Trump, the WWE Hall of Famer. Ronald Reagan, the actor. Anyway, so this is the story we thought we were going to be getting back with Cope, where they were teasing that, who's going to combat Marina Shafir? It's Willow. And then it wasn't Willow. And then we thought, it's probably going to be Beth Phoenix. And it wasn't Beth Phoenix. So instead, now we're going to get Swerve and Willow taking on Moxley and Marina Shafir. And sadly, we're not going to see Marina Shafir do what she does best, stand perfectly still and not move. That is the greatest role you can possibly put Marina Shafir in.
I thought it was her promo ability, Robert.
No. Standing perfectly still and not moving, and maybe wearing that Vincent Van Gogh wicker hat that she used to wear. That's pretty much it.
Yes.
This could be a fun match, but at the same time, why am I giving away Moxley and Swerve physicality a few days before the pay-per-view?
That's a great point. Yeah, there's
You know,
no reason.
you're not hyping WrestleMania by doing John Cena and Charlotte Flair versus Tiffany Stratton and Cody Rhodes.
Yeah,
It's a
yes,
lot of blonde in one
that's a
match.
lot of blonde happening.
That is, and speaking of blonde, we're going to see Tony Storm versus Penelope Ford. I got news for you. I had no idea if there were going to be any matches involving blonde people. I clicked back over. I saw that. There's also a paragraph after that, Dom. So I will let you.
Yes, Tony
There's
Storm.
tips here.
Tony Storm will be taking on Penelope Ford as the AEW Women's Champion looks to deal with Megan Bain's ally ahead of her championship defense against the Mighty Megasis at Dynasty. I didn't know she was called the Mighty Megasis.
Wait, wait, the what now?
The Mighty Megasis.
Is that really a thing?
It's in quotations. Friends at SE Scoops who wrote this recap, but I imagine that that is her nickname.
Oh, we're going to Google here. The Mighty Megasis refers to Megan Bain. Wow.
Yay or nay on that moniker, Robert?
I don't know what it is.
Like Pegasus.
No, I understand that it's Pegasus, but Pegasus is the horse.
Right.
So is this like a BoJack Horseman situation where she's part horse, part wrestler?
She's just a taller.
Like I understand that like a Valkyrie rides the Pegasus and she comes out dressed like a Valkyrie. Megasis sounds it sounds like something out of a Transformers movie.
Megasis.
You see, there you go. Either that or it's some sort of medication that you would take for plaque psoriasis.
That's either one or the other.
But speaking of plaque psoriasis, Will Ospreay is returning tonight. Yes, he's going to hype the Owen Torn, but more importantly, when he's not on, you really feel it. Like there is an energy, there is an infectiousness, not like an infectiousness that you would need for Megasis, but there is a vibe, an energy, a feeling when Will Ospreay is out there talking that you just don't get from anybody else. All due respect to Kenny Omega.
Yeah, Will Ospreay adds another element that has been missing for AEW since since a Cody or CM Punk exit. He kind of revitalized a lot of the babyface side of things where it was missing, and so yeah, you definitely feel that absence of him not being there when he is there. So even if he's just cutting a promo, it's a good thing to do before you hit Dynasty here. So yes, and that's it, Robert. That's all we got for Dynamite tonight on tap.
Wait, no Blake Christian?
No Blake Christian.
What the hell am I tuning in for? People tune into AEW Dynamite solely to see what's going on with Blake Christian. And also, I guess, no follow-up with the MJF Hurt Syndicate situation?
Yeah, there's no indication of that. And that's like one of the most intriguing stories going right now for them. So what the heck? What's the deal with that?
Well, good Lord. Speaking of MJF, there was something with MJF on there. That's the only reason
Yes. There is.
Also, C. Foster asks an important question. Why does Blake always look like a ghost? That may be a you thing, C. Foster.
Looks like a ghost.
Well, he does kind of look like the ghost of a Confederate general.
Good point.
There's a little bit of where he should come out to the ring and I say now, Mr. Omega, sir.
Hurt in the wall.
This is why. This is one of those things that happens where you would say a stupid pitch and then someone takes it seriously. And the next thing you know, it winds up becoming a thing.
He's like that Andrew Luck Twitter account. Did you ever see that where he's like writing to his mother about the war and stuff like that? It's a parody account of Andrew Luck, the former Colts quarterback. Very funny. No,
I don't have Twitter.
Oh, okay.
Dre Owen says he needs Colonel Parker. Look, Colonel Parker is one of.
You've had interactions with him, right?
Oh, I have had some interactions with the Colonel. I love Colonel Parker. He is he is always somehow in character, even when he is not. The nicest guy, and like the most for 11 and a half feet tall, the most diminutive, polite, reverent person you're ever going to deal with. And he would I would produce him in segments. How did I do? Was that okay? I'm like, dude, you're Colonel Parker. Like you know how to do this shtick better than anybody. That's like the second most famous thing about Colonel Parker is his promos. If you want to know the first, Wait until we have Blue Chew as a sponsor. But speaking of dicks, MJF.
Well, yeah. So,
Oh, actually, I could have saved that because there's a Bret Hart story, and
oh
Bret
my.
Hart's actually a dick. What's going on with MJF?
Well, we talked about this yesterday. WWE referencing AEW and vice versa sometimes. But MGF addressed that on X yesterday. He said, or 2 days ago, I truly don't get why fans get up in arms when WWE mentions or references AEW, or when AEW mentions or references WWE. If you want to be treated like children, watch Elmo. Or better yet, tell Vincent Kennedy McMahon to start a new promotion. So he obviously MJF always leans into that kind of stuff. But I thought it was interesting that he's not against doing that stuff. He's shown that in the past, and WWE's really been leaning into the references. I think they made like 5 references, or somebody counted, WWE to WWE to AEW. So, what do you think of that, Robert? And any thoughts of MJF adding fuel to that fire?
I am always of the mindset I don't like when the companies reference one another. And you go back to the Monday Night Wars, and it was a sign of desperation when a company was doing that. When the WWF would mention WCW, when they were getting their asses kicked in the Monday Night War, and they let Jim Cornette do like the Cornette commentary, or they would do the Billionaire Ted's Wrestling War Room. It felt desperate, as opposed to we're treating the audience with respect. It's like, no, we're doing anything we can. ECW got a lot of their cachet on a broader scale because they were the ones who would reference WWF and WCW. When Shane Douglas was leaving to go be Dean Douglas, they would talk about it. They would talk about guys who had gimmicks elsewhere. You look at Matt Bourne, and he was born again. It's like that was their niche. When WCW kept referencing WWF after, it felt like an attention grab. And eventually in Vince's mind, and I'm very much a product of that world, we are the only game in town. No one compares to what we do. And when you acknowledge somebody else and even insinuate that they're competition, that means you view them as competition, and we view nobody as competition. That's kind of the old school mentality that I've taken, that our world is the only world that exists. You see it in tribalism elsewhere. If you read a Marvel comic, they're not referencing DC. I know Mike Lawrence somewhere is like, well, they were the amalgam. They were the amalgam verse, and they amalgam them together. That doesn't count, Mike. It doesn't count. Dom, speaking of dicks, Bret Hart.
Well, yes. So Bret Hart had some comments that caught some wind. He was on Errol Hawani's show.
Errol Flynn.
Did I say it wrong? Errol Flynn.
Errol Hawani.
Errol Hawani. He says he was asked about watching wrestling. He says, I do watch. I watch certain guys, and I try to watch the pay-per-views. I find that wrestlers are more actors pretending to be wrestlers today than actual wrestlers. I miss the ruggedness of characters like Kurt Hennig and myself, or Dynamite Kid. We're still from Harley Race, Terry Funk kind of generation. I still think the 90s was the best era of wrestling. Now, this has kind of been a topic me and Rob and I have been talking about a lot recently on the show, but RVD, not Rob Harpless. But wanted to get your thoughts. Yes, I am a fan of Bret Hart. You guys, a lot of the working stiff people are not. But yeah.
Well, hold on. Bret Hart was a genuine favorite. Like I've always said, the single most important match in my entire wrestling fandom was the SummerSlam Bret Hart Mr. Perfect Intercontinental title match in 1991. That was the match where I suddenly realized that I was a wrestling fan and not just a Hogan fan. As a kid that watched, and it was like, oh, this is like real life superheroes. And then I was like, oh no, F this. This is art. This is great. Bret is always talking out of both sides of his mouth. I think the idea where he's saying that they're actors pretending to be wrestlers. There's a lot of folks in AEW that I'm sure you can point to where there's guys that don't work the style that Bret would work, where they're going to do 10 finishing moves in a row. And that doesn't align with how Bret was taught how to wrestle. Someone hits a big move, you're selling, you're taking those moments, you're making it feel impactful and important so that everything has meaning. And then you watch a Will Ospreay match or a Kenny Omega match, which are wildly entertaining, but they're going to do 7 or 8 moves, you're like, how is that not the finish? How did a guy spring right back up from taking a cutter off the top rope? So it's his mindset. I love how he talks about, the ruggedness, and then talks about Dynamite Kid. We saw what the ruggedness of that style did to Dynamite Kid. There's a reason that there had to be modifications of the style. So probably not the best guy to reference. Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, one of my all-time favorites, but that's another guy who suffered a lot of back pain and back problems and probably contributed to why he's no longer with us. So the rugged style is something that has its consequences. I also love that he references Harley Race and Terry Funk and then says the 90s was the best era, because Harley Race was managing Vader in the 90s, and Terry Funk was wearing pantyhose on his head and avoiding having to wrestle at a Survivor Series because my horse is sick.
I believe that wholeheartedly.
Of course you would believe that. Terry Funk would never lie.
Never.
I love Terry.
I do too.
But it's Brett. Look, I'm shocked. At no point in this quote did he reference Goldberg. It's just like, it's like a natural reflex for him.
I think though, so what Rob and I have been talking about too is like there's the notion that and Rob says this too. He's like, I think people watched how I wrestled, on ECW, and they grew up in a video game generation where they play the video games and see the moves being done, and so they don't know what you were just referencing too with Brett is like the in between little stuff and like the stuff that the little details that come into play. Whereas Will Ospreay and stuff, boom, 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 boom. Now, the same thing, though, I think, too, to kind of push back is you mentioned the ruggedness. Well, what's going to happen to these guys when they get older, too, like a Will Ospreay or a Kenny Omega, or, you see already the injuries that they're accumulating at the ages of mid-30s and 40s.
They happen. So somehow they really haven't had a ton of truly catastrophic injuries. Kenny Omega was sidelined primarily for the diverticulitis, which you can't attribute to his in-ring style or anything like that. They seemingly have avoided a lot of those catastrophic injuries. I mean, Jeff Hardy is the guy you think of who somehow did not suffer a true career-ending injury despite all of those wild spots and moments that he was a part of. Rob, the other Rob, your second most favorite Rob co-host, was one of my all-time favorites to go out of my way and watch, because you saw things that he did that just nobody else did. When you see everybody doing it, it does feel a lot less special. It's kind of the same issue we had once where we did Big Show versus Snitsky. And then you realize, well, when they're both big, huge guys, they just look like regular dudes wrestling one another. It's not particularly special or exciting. Brett's always going to try to talk about what he did was the best. The world before Bret Hart wrestled was terrible. They didn't understand it. It wasn't an art form. These were just guys in smoke-filled rooms. The world after Bret, they're all just pretend. They're not doing what I did. It was me and the folks up in Canada. We toured up. The Mongolian Stomper was better than Sean. That's for sure.
Now I really want to meet a Canadian Robert Karplis.
No, you don't. It's pretty much Lance Storm, by the way. In case you want, if you want, like I was just texting with Lance yesterday because we're both going to be in Vegas, and he's like, "You think there's a Cracker Barrel in Vegas?"
What?
The dude lives his gimmick. It's his favorite thing, and I don't mind it. I enjoy me some Cracker Barrel. Cracker Barrel pancakes.
I like Cracker Barrel.
Cracker Barrel pancakes are fantastic. It's also fantastic and great to stack. Are the various podcasts that Dominic D'Angelo produces. Dom.
Yes. So this Thursday, tomorrow, join me and Rob Van Dam, who we just talked about, on RVDTV.com. We're going to be going live.
Yeah, can we put Rob over anymore? Like, enough already. I'm begging you.
9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is usually when we kick things off, so be on the lookout for that.
Past my bedtime.
And this Friday, 4 p.m., Magnum TA and I will be going live as well. So be sure to check that out on FourHorsemenNetwork.com and check out. We talk about egos. I talk about egos in wrestling media. You can go to OneTrueSportTV.com. Check out Clean Up the Dirt Sheets, my latest episode there, where I talk about some names in wrestling media. And make the comparisons with LeBron James and Stephen A. Smith in their feud going on. But Robert, yes, you just published yesterday something with sports entertainment with, and I'm sure you and Scott are going to be ready to record a new working stiff this week too.
Yep, myself and Scott Chapin will be recording tomorrow. We're going to talk about the road to Dynasty. We're going to talk a little bit about the show that Raw did in London. And we're going to talk about any other weird wrestling and non-wrestling comedy-related things. I'll probably go a little further into my absolute love of Los Angeles, California, as I prepare for my trip to Las Vegas, Nevada. But until then, myself and Dominic D'Angelo will be here every Monday through Friday at noon Eastern on a plethora of platforms, including the WWE Creative_ISH X account, the at Dominic D'Angelo X account, the at SE Scoops X account, and on YouTube on Rumor and Innuendo, ad-free shows, and Working Stiff. So on behalf of the man that is more water than person, Dominic D'Angelo, I'm Robert Karpelis. Best of luck in your future endeavors.
Stay hydrated, everyone. Please, please.